Hello, my fellow mutants, and welcome back to the Mutants Only podcast, where we discuss and review our favorite X-Men comics. Today, we're continuing our discussion with issues 17 through 20. And today, I have with me my brotherhood. I have JB, Peter Blerd, and Blerd Central, minus Abe. But we are here, we are ready, and we got some good issues for y'all to review. So I'm excited. But before we get into that, have y'all been, reading any comics? Have y'all been, I know Quantum Media came out. Anybody watched it yet? Like, what's new with y'all?
We was Kangs.
It was
Kangs.
It was Kang.
We was Kangs. Look, I did, and with that whole Michelle Pfeiffer, Jonathan Majors shipping, like, can we? I don't even want to get too much in that.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
that's all I've been seeing, and I'm just
Okay.
like, yo. First we had Namor and Shuri. Now we got Kang and Miss Pym. I'm just like, you know what? I'm done with y'all and the shipping. Stop the shipping.
Stop the
Stop,
shipping.
stop the shipping.
I'm crying.
But Quantum Mania was good. I've been getting the Sins of Sinister. Have y'all been reading
Yes.
Sins of
Not
Sinister?
yet, not
Oh
yet.
my goodness.
Mr. Sinister is a sassy man, and I love it.
I've been waiting. As ever since House and Powers of X started, I'm just like, oh,
I need
there
to
he
go
is.
back. I need to go back and kind of like build up to here because they've been hinting a lot of that. And I'm like, I need to go and see because this man been plotting. He
Oh
been
my god,
plotting.
even the stuff that we're gonna get into, I don't know, maybe it's like what 50, 100 issues from now, but
Right.
like what with the stuff that we get to from there, Sinister that comes back, I'm just like, oh my god, this is what I've been waiting for. I'm waiting for the Sass Master,
Yes.
Mr. Sinister, to come in and
And
take over everything, and that's exactly what he did.
and I love villains who enjoy being villains. And Mr. Sinister enjoys being a villain. He
Right,
loves it.
That's his kink. He love it.
He like,
He's
I ain't changing for nobody. I'm gonna always be me, boo boo. And y'all should have seen it coming.
such
But
a
I love
damn
it.
villain,
I
even to
love it.
himself. He's a villain to his own damn self. That's the worst part
Right.
of this
Right.
arc.
But I love whoever is drawing this like issue. I love the eye makeup. Like it gives very much drag. It just gives very much like this man wakes
Yes.
up and he puts his makeup on for a show. Like he
That's
needs
what
to
I'm
show
saying.
out.
We always drew Mr. Sinister with that sass. You gotta lean into it. They finally leaning into it. I love it. The cape,
I love it.
the eye makeup, the shadow, whatever y'all call it, the liner. I mean, he's got it on
Love
fleek.
it.
I love it.
So
Full
yeah,
villain.
I like Sinister without spoiling much, but I've been enjoying it. I recently read Bishop Ward College, and I like it. People need to relax on Bishop. Okay, he's been through the trenches, so he acted what he acted. Can't help it,
Listen.
and it's
He
called Ward
been through
College.
more than most. He been through
Right.
way more than most, and he finally getting his shine. Y'all better lay off my man's.
Like
Been waiting a long
enough,
time for him to get this shine. Y'all
enough
better
with
back
the
off.
enough with the passive aggressive emails. Like, let's just say it to his face. Like, come on now, stop it. He doing his job. You signed him up to do his job. He's doing his job. Like, but yeah, I've been reading Sinister, Bishop Ward College. I haven't read Daughter of Blade yet. I really want to. I know that came out February. And yeah, anybody else? You guys been reading anything else before we get into the
I of course I saw Quantum Mania. That shit was gas. I don't care what anybody say. They being cynical for no reason. Just watch the movie and enjoy it. Shut up. Um, what I've been reading, I've been reading a lot. What I've been reading lately. Of course, I've been reading One Piece. One Piece, is GOAT. But as far as Marvel comics related, I've been reading a lot of Thanos. So I started reading Thanos Rising again just because I wanted to read it. Because when I first read it the first time, I just kind of like
So good.
right? But it's just so good, like seeing him go from scary little boy to like psychotic killer. And then I
what?
continued past that to reading the other Thanos comics that and with the one where he's Thanos Annual where he gets Gamora, and his little side stories, and then up to the point where he meets Frank Castle's Ghost Rider. And then he ends up going like forward in time and seeing his older self, and he's still doing the same shit, except there's no one left to do shit with. And he fights a Silver Surfer, and then but he beat Black
Oh,
too. And it's just like, and then like he can't kill Frank Castle's Cosmic Ghost Rider. He's a Herald of Galactus. So it's just been really cool to watch that, and I think I finished that, and then I started reading. What did I start reading? I started reading some Thor comics about like I think I started. It's like a reread. I do a lot of rereads, and I was reading I think it was a 2021 run of Thor, where Thor is finally the All Father and stuff, and like he has the Black Gauntlet, and he has the power cosmic because he's trying to fight the Black Winter. And he sees his end with Thanos. Same tattoo I got on my calf, like with Thanos with the Infinity Mjolnir. And I just been like enjoying that, and then seeing Hulk have Thor powers, and that's just cool as heck. So yeah,
What?
yeah, man.
that Banner of War, that was a crazy.
That Banner of War is. I'm still kind of confused by it myself because I'm just like, wait, so the the Hulk is now like a Megazord, and in Bruce Banner is basically a Power Ranger, like inside this Megazord Thor. I mean, freaking
If you think
Hulk.
about it, Hulk was always a mecha anime. They
Right,
really
honestly,
just
Hulk is
let
a
it
yeah, right. Like
they just
now
let
we're at the
Al get
mecha
it.
anime. It's like Attack on Titan. Like it's crazy. Like, I feel like I'm reading G Gundam. So that's what I've been kind of reading a lot lately. Just catching it and just kind of making me think about like, damn, they couldn't. I guess they couldn't translate this kind of Thanos into the MCU, who was like this ravage killer in love with death, because I don't think audiences would have liked that. So, I guess they had to give him some caveat and make him seem like he's doing something good for the world, but really he's just he like to kill.
Okay, back JV.
I got you.
Yeah, so I've been reading Avatar: The High Ground after I saw The Way of Water. I'm obsessed with Avatar. I've seen the film dozens of times at this point. I love The Way of Water. I saw it like 4 times in theaters. And this comic, Avatar: The
Wow.
High Ground, takes place within this year time skip between the first film and the second film. And it does such an incredible job. There's this really cool space battle that happens. There's a couple other Dark Horse comics that was made on Avatar, and these were all written by a screenplay from James Cameron himself, because he wrote a side story so that the actors can know what was going on in between films, and they wrote comics based on the side story. So I've been having a lot of fun reading that. I also picked up Dune, the graphic novel. So it's the graphic novel to the book itself, not the movie. I'm also obsessed with Dune, so I've been having a lot of fun with that. And then I've been starting my reread of the 2015 Ant-Man run with Scott Lang. That was actually a pretty fun run after I saw
Ooh,
Quantumania. So if you haven't read it, check it
Ooh,
out.
I'm gonna check it
that's what I
out.
need to do. But
Yes.
those are some good reads. Those are some good. I like how that's how like in tune he was with Avatar. He's like, look, I'm writing this story so y'all can understand and get that history guide. I think I love that kind of attention to detail. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and get into this issue. We got issue 17, Mind Games. The X-Men are kidnapped by the hypnotizing Mesmero and are forced to work as circus performers. But it's up to Hank, aka Beast, to find out what happened to them and to save his X-Men family against his Avengers, bosses. So what are your thoughts on this issue? I first of all, Mesmero is one of the most sassiest villains we have ever been introduced to yet. I love him. But what are you guys' thoughts on this kind of going through Hank's point of view?
Hank is so damn useless.
Ah!
No, I don't mean that. I'm joking. I'm joking. I thought it was cool because at first I was confused. I was like, oh, did the X-Men get like cloned again? Like and I was just like, oh, what happened? And it's like, oh, like this guy just petty as shit. And he just came back, and and it was interesting. I think one of the most interesting parts of this chapter is Hank really trying to figure everything out, and he tried but he couldn't. But then I navigated this whole thing kind of confused because I was like, why is Wolverine the only one who's not really completely out of it? So I was like, just kind of just was like, all right, what's going on? And then to see that little side story at the end that explains, and then just to see like, oh, okay, like Mesmero couldn't really fully take control of Jean because he was trying to be and I think that was one of the coolest parts of the chapter when like that sad story is seeing like, oh, he was trying to do his little thing with Jean, like to be a creep, and he couldn't.
So I picked up on that. Same with you. I was kind of like, how do we get here? But I didn't notice how Jean was like, I gotta go meet the boss. Gotta go meet the boss. And I'm like, why? Like, why does she keep saying that? And having read, first of all, having like seen the end, I was like, oh, Jean is that powerful to where he has to do regularly checkups on her because she got the Phoenix. And so reading the bonus episode, I was like, there you go. Like, and seeing how, let me see how we can work together instead of me trying to take over you. So yeah, I did like that too. But I didn't notice that. I was like, she kept repeating it when like throughout those issues. But yeah. JB?
Yeah, for me, I really liked Beast in this chapter. I loved him, like, loved seeing, getting a little bit of backstory with him where he started with the X-Men, transitioned into becoming an Avenger, and then wanted to check up on his family, and then ending up finding out that they ended up at this circus. Now, I'll be honest, like, at first I was a little bit apprehensive because whenever circus stories happen, like, they're usually not that interesting. They usually as like use as side stories, but this was pretty good. Getting to get into Hank's mind, recalibrating the Quinjet computer to work like Cerebro so that he can find them. I thought that was really, really cool. Seeing that the X-Men were brainwashed for weeks, I also thought that we were dealing with a clone situation, but we didn't know which way it was going to go. One thing that was really powerful for me was the Wolverine aspect of this, right? It's his primal instinct to want to break free of bondage, of chains, that allowed him to do that in the end and break through. So I thought that was really, really powerful. And it was also really funny, like, watching him, like, slap the shit out of Scott to get him to wake up. And then he slaps Jean, and then she just, like, goes completely off as a Phoenix, like, nigga, if you don't ever touch me again.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. She was like, don't you ever. You lost your mind. He was like, oh, dang, I saw that coming. But no, yeah, I love that. I love that. And I liked with Hank how we kind of went through this, like, detective, like, type of thing almost, where he was being very observant, very like inner monologue-y. But also you saw him kind of like have this just opposed to being like, I'm an Avenger. But it's having this long game of missing his X-Men fan and how it like people come out, they're like, you are a mutant. And he was like, no, but look at my card. They're like, get out of here, blue man. We don't care that shit. Like, get in the cave with the rest of the monkeys. Like they're just like they were not caring about it. I like how like he was realized like, damn, like once a mutant, always a mutant. That's kind of always a thing with the X-Men. Whenever they leave and go on their own journeys, they always go back to that same thing. And we see that a lot throughout these comics. But Amelia, what were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was hilarious. Hold on, no, because he really was flashing that Avengers card around like it really meant something. He said the whole time this man said, let the Avengers, man. See, this must have been back when, like Tony Stark was actually bankrolling shit. And,
Right.
my mans had pensions and mans had motherfucking whole
401k
401k. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So he's over here like, damn, now I gotta go back to what you would call it, the Xavier Struggle Institute real quick. She was good with
the guy lost his scholarship.
You know what I'm saying? I'd already graduated. They done got me doing the teacher
Right.
role and all that, whatever. This whole time he's over here like, and I got my card here. No, they like you said, Spice. He said, what?
Got here, monkey.
And they just threw him right in there with it, and it was cool and kind of also baffling because I'm like, you got your super genius, you know what I'm saying? Like JB said, he was reverse engineering Cerebro,
Right.
and you know what I'm saying, doing his detective work. But then you clearly see, okay, like we understand, like you've never seen like Storm or Colossus or Wolverine before. You've never seen that. But like you grew up with your man's over there, like Jean Grey. You grew up with Scott over there. It's like, come on, bro. It's like it took you like how long to figure out how many of these people, even with you being an Avenger, come on out. It's like how many of these people are just gonna be here like, oh yeah, that this person can just control weather. Wow, this lady looks just like this chick that Xavier was telling me about in his little emails, and she does exactly the same thing. I need to investigate though. Give me a minute. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Hank really he really let me down in that aspect. You know what I'm saying? He was gonna get MVP of this chapter, but then you know what I'm saying, but then he got smacked in the back of the head and thrown into the cage. So I'm just like, And then Mesmero, I'm just like, Mesmero's he's one of the greatest villains of X-Men, like retconned in with. But this issue reminded me why he needed to be retconned so much. I'm like, the purple Cobra suit had me rolling, guys. I'm sorry. Like, your man's was sassy. He had his leg up on
He was a hello
on the
beast. I
thing.
was
He
like,
said,
oh, look at
hello.
you.
He gave Mr. McCoy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he
It
came in
was
real
me.
spicy, you know what I'm saying? But still one of the an introduction of one of the best villains that X-Men has still to this day have. But I just thought that was hilarious because
And
your
I
man's came
love,
in ripped, looking King Cobra like.
right. And
Hello.
I loved his like power activation, how they like made his eyes like just like go very like spooky. And I was like, that is the type of I love to see in
Yeah, it was
comics.
a
Like,
great shot.
yes, I love that. And so yeah, let's kind of get into Mesmero. I like his ability. I like how there were stipulations to it, which we kind of get more into the bonus chapter, which we're gonna be kind of going back and forth with. But but I think I like his character the most. I think he's not a dumb villain. He's very much cognizant of himself. He's and he's like, I want to f shit up. How can I do it to where it makes sense? Like, and I love that. But you see him having this connection with Magneto, and so it's just like that was kind of like a little bit more that kind of made me be like, okay, so there's like bad blood here. There's more to this than meets the eye. So yeah, what were everyone else's thoughts on Mesmero and his wanting of just messing with the X-Men?
I'm not a fan of villains like Mesmero because I feel like they have like nothing to them really. They're very one dimensional. He has a very interesting ability. Even if he needs multiple checkups, he's controlling the Phoenix and the rest of the X-Men all at once. And what he chooses to do is just embarrass them and turns them into circus freaks. Like, they're so one dimensional and boring. Like, there's nothing to him. I'm like, dude, look at what you can do. Like, if you want them to suffer, do something else. Like, it's such a lame thing to do. And then he's just discarded by the end of the next couple of chapters. Just, he's a waste, in my opinion, man.
I agree. Like I think he's just as like I mean like I think his powers are cool, but he is corny as hell. And like it's just even like just how he started off like before like that's why like the taste a taste for vengeance sad story in there because like it shows how corny this man is. Like you went the Jean, you got her under your spell, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna get a couple other women under my spell, and they're gonna wait on me. And it's just like, oh, and then I tried to, and then like, oh, the hottest one in the room, I can't get because she won't allow me, and if I keep trying, it's gonna be causing me a problem. So I guess the only option I can do is go to Xavier Mansion. And then I go to Xavier Mansion and I'm trying to control them all, but Wolverine's fighting against me. So I guess the best thing is I can do, even though I can just make all these niggas walk over a cliff, is to put them in a circus. And I was just like, man, you a cornball, bro. Like it's just like you're such just could have did better, man.
Preach.
But I did like how when he was like watching the mess unfold with Wolverine, he was like, that shit boring, yeet. And he just like walked away to go like reconfigure what he wanted to do. He's like,
go to sleep, everyone.
Right. And I was just like, okay. It's corny, but it's funny. I like messy characters like that. It's like
really was.
Right.
He really was like he's just like, you know what, like let me just think. Hey, stop.
What's Captain Britain's brother's name? Who's the king of
Jamie.
Camelot? Jamie, yeah, I think Jamie will want his cape though. Like, Jamie, I feel like Jamie would be like, loving his cape, like, oh, nice cape. I think them three in a room would be crazy. But besides that,
Mesmero is just like, yeah, like especially here, he's definitely got that underboss vibe. Like, that he's the dude we got to run through real quick before someone real comes through and just smacks the X-Men down, which we're about to see in this next chapter.
Yeah, I think for the time period we're in, I would have enjoyed Mesmero. I feel like he was just the prime time villainy that we needed to just get on to the root of the cause. Which first of all, before we get into issue 18, I want to say it is confirmed that Nightcrawler stinks. He just stinks. he don't shower. He just stinks. And I hate that for my baby because I love Nightcrawler, but he stinks, and that's okay. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, I love Beast's like facial expressions throughout this issue. It was just very dramatic, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like almost handsome. Like I'm like, who did they draw him after? Because he looking kind of handsome. I didn't like that. But yeah,
jawline was jawlining,
right. I was like, oh, he wasn't looking like a scientist. He was looking like I'm a man of action. Like, like I got a scholarship. I got a D Bound scholarship, okay? And I passed it up.
On Vogue with Rihanna and shit.
Oh my God.
Before we move on, I did want to mention one last thing with Storm. Like when she frees when Jean frees all the X-Men and they're fighting against Mesmero's guys and everything. I love this piece of dialogue where she's like, have no fear, Cyclops. None of these creatures will escape. But if these motherless scum have gods, they should thank them with all of their craven hearts that the X-Men do not believe in killing. Even so, I am sorely tempted. Yo, the dialogue.
I wanted to praise. I want to start praise shouting because I was like, she was just being a whole preacher. I was like, hey, yes, hallelujah, Storm. She was like, these sons ain't messing with me. I am mother, okay? This is my family. But yeah, I forgot that she said that. Storm always has the bars. I just
always.
Always. She was just like, they trying to roll on us? Our house? No. All right, so that was issue 17. And we kind of already talked about the bonus episode. So now we're going to issue 18. Magneto triumph, and this is where we find out that the one really controlling the reins, well, not really. Magneto just pops up because he's nosy and he wants his rematch. And I'm just like, okay. But yeah, so X-Men face Magneto yet again, but this time the tension is really strong because of their previous battles. Like they have beef. It's Terry found out Magneto pulls up on the mutant simply because he's petty and really wanted his rematch. He teleports the X-Men to a secret hidden base in a huge volcano underneath the Earth's core that he has multiple of, mind you. And he's just like, he just has it here because he's Magneto. And yeah, he just teleports him there and he's like, all right, time to fight. And he fights the X-Men one by one. So what were y'all thoughts on like the lead up of Magneto as we go into this like just crazy fight of pettiness? Amelia.
Listen, I love this. This is peak like arch nemesis Magneto. This is like, what I'm saying, before he turned into like anti-hero, still great, what I'm saying, but like before, he really got pushed down the totem pole by like Scott and his little revolutionary phase and all that. This Magneto right here, this Magneto comes in, he fucking smacks niggas down and he leaves. And it's some of the most satisfying stuff too, because you see some of the shit that he does nowadays, like, and people be like, oh, Magneto, like Doctor Doom would smack down Magneto, or like I heard it's like Kang beats Magneto. I'm like, y'all are severely underestimating the god of magnetism right now. Like you said, just going down, just randomly, I'm gonna pop up on you, I'm gonna smack you up a couple times, I'm gonna teleport all of you. Mind you, there's 6 of these niggas, all super powered of them.
Like, and first of all, he rolls up to their house, saw they were not home, was like, gee, what happened? I really want my fight. And then he follows Hank. Hank. And just straight, like, oh, what's happening here? Oh, okay. Oh, I know this nigga. I know Miss Merrill. Let me slap him up real quick so I can get my shine. It's like
the BDE, you know what I'm saying? Just straight, just coming and just dragging the huge sack, just coming through. Because that's, like I said, that's straight anime villain levels of just like, what is this? I don't give a fuck about y'all goofy day of the week little thing y'all doing right here. Smack. No, y'all. And it just, you can tell from the first page, everybody just stops. Everybody is like, oh shit. I know that red. I know that purple. You know what I'm saying? Scott's over here is like, oh, we not ready. We about to die. Somebody, oh my God. What are we gonna run Alpha 3? Nah, he not going. he won't smash us. And then, like you say, he just teleports them, 6 of them, all to like one of what 5, 6 volcano bases. Whether it's a volcano base, this nigga's got volcano bases. He's got
And
underground
and
bases.
it
He's
said they
got base
put
on the
like,
moon.
and I love the shade that we're always getting with Tony Stark and Reed Richards. It's
The cameos are that's what I was gonna point out. My last point is like my favorite part about like this whole thing is just the cameos because it really gives the weight that you
right.
need for the X-Men. Because this is why people were like, "Whoa, hold on, no, fuck the Avengers over here. We got this team over here that's really handling shit." Because you got Magneto over here, fucking making whole bases in motherfucking volcanoes and moons and shit with his mind and shit. This nigga just controls metal. How did you fucking make a computer, nigga? Like, what's like what? This is some next level shit. And fucking Tony Stark, you got Mr. Fantastic, smartest niggas in the world. They're over here like, I don't know. They just over there on the side like, yo, Hank, yo, did you flash your Avengers card?
Okay.
I was
But
just like, so Magneto, top tier. This is like peak arch villain Magneto, and I love it.
JB.
This was my favorite chapter, period. Like, besides Phoenix saving the fucking universe, this is it for me. Like, let's break down these stats, right? First of all, Magneto literally just shows up, fucks them up just a little bit, hurdles them in a circus wagon 70,000 feet into the air to, like, the last volcano in Antarctica, a mile under the ice cap. The entire facility covers 5 square miles. It's completely self-sufficient, drawing its power from the Earth's core. And like you guys already alluded to, it's just one of many, plus Asteroid M. So it's just, this dude is just on another level right now. And then he gets to the base, destroys the wagon, and then fucks them up some more. It's crazy. This chapter was insane. And he's just going off at the mouth, bro. Like, Cyclops is like, if Magneto goads us into an attack, we're as good as dead. Magneto's like, you're that already, my friend. Like, all the smoke, bro. All the great dialogue. Like, Magneto was just on fire in this chapter. I read this like 3 times. It was just so good.
Johan, that's you nodding your head. You're just like, this man is just unhinged.
You know, JB always be spitting. Y'all always be spitting. You know what I mean? and I think the coolest part about this chapter is that first and foremost, the cover already let you know what's about to happen, what's about to go down. He had the X-Men in the palm of his hands, and he was just like, and so I already let you know, like, Magneto is back, and he's about to come back with a vengeance. And I thought it was really cool. And it was really it was funny that like Colossus thought like, I'm just going to tear my way out of this shit. And then it's like when someone he opens doors, like, oh shit. Like, he's like, oh man, we're 3,000 feet in the air. Like, this is all right, Scott. What's plan B?
It was Nightcrawler's yell that did me. They're like, did y'all hear Nightcrawler yell? And then we look at him, he was like, yeah.
Like you know how cartoons, a cat like will jump and they'd be like, and just like, I was like, oh shit. Like,
they're like, what was that?
I was like, all right. And then like the start off his path of ruthlessness, it wasn't enough just to like put him 70,000 feet in the air. No, he was like, all right, now let's get rid of the trash. Bye, Mesmero. And they're like, wait, what are you doing? Like, he was like, oh no, he's not going to die, but he's going to hit the ground pretty hard. You know, he's fully aware of these jets chasing him through the sky. He goes, I'm not worried about them. And they're not worried.
Tosses him out of the wagon. It was like, bye. And they're like, you just killed him. He's like, yeah.
I'm glad that you brought that up real quick, right? They're going so fast that if they were to fire rockets, it wouldn't hit because they're going too fast, which is crazy.
They can't even, imagine he's controlling this. Oh, wow. Imagine this is a wagon, a wooden wagon with some metal in it. It's not made of metal. It just has some metal in it. And he's taking it, and he takes his wagon and brings it to inside a volcano and keeps it structurally sound, lands it in this volcano. We see this giant ass structure, which is just like, it looks like some of the most technologically advanced shit we ever fucking seen at this time. And to top it off, he gets there and he's just like, he's just so casual with it. He's just so chill with it. And then to top it off, he fucks them up. He fucks up the Phoenix. Now I think he fucks up the Phoenix, mostly because Jean's not fully aware of her power. But also, what I mean? Magneto's gotten a buff and he came back. So he's not really playing any games with these guys. And what I liked the most at the end was just like he put these guys in a helpless situation where they can't do nothing. He's like, "Oh no, I could kill you." I mean, that would be nice, but I'm gonna take my villainy a step up. I'm gonna put you in a real fucked up situation. And then why have you in this fucked up situation? I ain't even gonna really care about keeping after you. Here is my nanny bot. And she's gonna watch you. And she just looks sinister as hell. And they're just like in the worst BDSM situation anyone had to be in, with no safe word, like at all. Like, so they're just sitting here and it's just like, they probably have a safe word. You ever seen Euro Trip and have that mission night and watching and whatever like it? And they're just sitting there just like, fuck, like what am I going to do? And it just leads into an awesome chapter, which is very emotional in my personal opinion. Cyclops is blind, he's always blind, but like it's just a whole. The chapter was badass, and I love when I'm a big fan of covers. The term "don't just book books by its cover." I feel like with comics, like the cover has to give you what exactly is going to happen. And you looked at it, you saw he had him in the palm of his hand, and he had everyone in the palm of his hand the entire chapter. It was gas. It was straight gas. God damn, was it wordy? Oh my god! But I loved it. It was good dialogue. It wasn't useless dialogue.
Yeah, and I think they had to like build that narrative of him being reborn, right? Because Miss Mesmer, they're like, "That's your friend, right?" He was like, "I don't know, nigga. He knew a robot version of me. I was dead. I don't know him." So
whose man is this?
Right? I was like, I don't know what that man is. And so how he was like, y'all, like I was reborn, and I as a baby, as an infant. I ain't never went through that in my life. And so I want, instead of killing y'all don't even deserve that. Y'all deserve just to be helpless like a baby. I was like, dang, Magneto, like, bro, relax. But yeah, this was definitely one of my favorite issues. Like,
I also love like how everyone's using their powers, especially Magneto in this, right? There's a scene, there's a moment where he's pulling Colossus while throwing Nightcrawler at the same time. And this is a great moment for Colossus, a great hero moment, because he knows how high off the ground he is and he could get really hurt, but his priority is to save Nightcrawler and not to cause him damage. So I really like that. I love that Magneto has the ability to have this magnetic field around him to where Cyclops' optic beams can't get through. Like, it requires a lot of energy to hold, but it can't get through. That's really, really cool. The fact that he was able to use magnetism to pull a wooden wagon through lava is also really insane in this as well. So it's like, I love how the power system and everything was used in this whole thing. It's been really good. Trapping Banshee in a bubble of magnetism so that his sonic waves can't get out, that was really cool too.
And I like how it was like he used everyone's hesitation. Like he had the upper hand because even with Storm, Storm was like, should I kill this man? And then he's like, you hesitated. And he was like, that was your issue. You could have had me, but you hesitated. So, and even with Phoenix, where she was feeling herself, I'm not gonna lie, she was like, oh, I got him. And then she's like, wait, but is this really me? I'm like, gee, now is not the time to have an existential crisis in the middle of you finding this man.
And Magneto uses Storm's blizzard to enhance his magnetism powers, which helps him against Phoenix, which again just shows the genius level intellect, the tactician that he is fighting these incredibly powerful beings, I might add. Like, it's crazy.
Which we see in the next few issues that's why I love the X-Men, because every loss is a win for them, because they're like, okay, we can regroup, and then the thing that we failed at, we can use to our advantage. So I love how the very things they were lacking in, they used against Magneto later on. So going on to issue 19, Triumph and Tragedy. Storm a gangster. Okay, this is where Storm is like, have no fear, my X-Men. I know we're in a terrible situation, but your girl got it. Sif used her pick locks, okay, from her crown to pick lock the locks that they were in. And I love that because we all know she's a master locksmith cracker due to her time in Cairo as a thief. And I loved how we saw that here, where she was like, all right, I know Magneto said that, like, he wants to feel an infant, but when I was a baby, I was a grown ass woman. Like he was like, I was up here handling it. So I was like, and the way she just knew what to do, I was like, that's my girl. But yeah, so she deal with that, and then we kind of get a side story of Magneto where he was like, today drained me, and he's just realizing that his abilities can manipulate nuclear structures on a subatomic level, and he was like, if I cared to even let this knowledge be known, but I don't, like, I'm just that dude. And I was just like on a quantum level, like is what he said. And I was just like, that explains it. But that kind of lets you know, like, he's been experimenting with himself this whole time because he wants to get that strong. So what were you guys' thoughts on that, JB?
I also really like this chapter. I actually felt for Cyclops in this one because he's blind. We know that they've been there for days at this point, and he's just in darkness constantly, only hearing the creepy voice of this fucking robot that's taking care of everyone. But this chapter did a really good job of showing the mental fortitude of the X-Men. Phoenix still being able to have a psychic link with Cyclops and like trying to focus to extend that link to everyone else. Like you already alluded to, Spicy, Storm literally focusing for days while learning the nanny's steps in order to use enough strength to throw off her headpiece and get to that lockpick. Because if she doesn't, they're all screwed, right? So it's all on Storm. Storm gets another VIP moment in the X-Men comics. This was really, really good. Days. And like you already said, like at 6 months old, she was already moving around. And thanks to Ahmed, she's a master thief. She can pick any lock. This was really, really cool to see that she has so many in her headpiece too. Like just in case we lose one, got like 3 more. So I thought that was really, really cool. Just watching the X-Men come out of this situation not having their powers to save the day. So I thought it was really cool.
I love that you said that because I think that goes into how Storm relies on her other instincts for just not just her mutant abilities. She's just like, I'm not gonna do great things, but I gotta have the street level smarts. So I love how they alluded to that here, where she was like, I stay ready, like, because anything can happen. I don't want to cause too much, I guess, attention to myself. There's other ways of doing things out. That's why that's why I did not agree with that tweeter who was like, all of Storm's failures was because, and her leadership was because of her. I was like, first of all, most of it had to do with other people effing up. And it had nothing to do with Storm. But I didn't agree with that. But yeah. Johan.
Now, this was my favorite chapter in this read through for this episode. I enjoyed it because, again, another cover showing you, like, who's really a tactician in this whole situation. I appreciated, like we said, we see Storm. I think Storm was the MVP of this chapter, for multiple reasons. Again, one of the first reasons we stated, like, she just, like, it's just so cool how she just sat there and patiently just has this control over her body, start doing her little thing. You know what I mean? Got the crown off, take your crown off, Queen. I see you. And then like, we spent, like JB said, we saw the mental fortitude and how them being pushed to their mental limits, but cool thing, and like Storm, we actually saw Storm break. Like, we saw her cry a bit, and it was hard for her because she thought that ray of hope that she had was swiftly taken away from her for a moment. I enjoy, one thing I also enjoyed, speaking of mental fortitude, was watching Wolverine go through that and seeing him trying to attempt to fight his primal instincts, and him knowing that if he goes into that dark place, he may not be able to come back out of it. And this is something that's actually a real serious situation, and so he'll just be trapped in this serious situation. I thought Nannybot was just such a great, like, this like little sub villain that was put in there, because he was really just like messing around. Like, she just really was just like the mind fuck that she just had in this comic was just this issue was just amazing. I really enjoy. You said this before, Spicy. I love Magneto because I love his arrogance. I love his arrogance. I love his pride. I love I love that he knows his worth. And just knowing that, like, I could win a Nobel Peace Prize if I really care, but I don't really care for Homo sapien achievements. This is in his mind, this is what I should be doing as a Omega level mutant. This is what I should be doing as a man. But another VIP moment for me was Storm after she gets everyone away, and it made me think about planet-sized X-Men. and like, okay, this is where she first gets the start of pushing her powers past her limits. I thought that was cool. It was really hard for her to stop that lava coming in, but I was just like, all right, she stopped the lava, and then made me think like, oh, hold up, like, I remember she just helped terraform a planet. This is where that little piece starts with Storm, and I appreciated that little piece of information. I thought it was dope as heck. I really, really I love the chapter. I was kind of confused why they didn't shut Magneto down, but I also didn't remember that he had this like psychic field around him that prevents like this magnetic field prevents psychic interference, even though he had his helmet off. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, chapter for me, 10 out of 10. Again, MVP Storm, like, she saved her lives yet again. That's what Storm just does, and it's just like, and again, that's her thief. Her lock picking skill also reminded me of another like Cocoa arc chapter where they're celebrating Storm on the Marauder ship, and they're talking about how many knives that she has, and like, all the things that she has done, and it's just like,
Right.
yeah, we're seeing the blossoming of like a really powerful X-Men, and how valuable she is in almost every situation.
And that's why I love that Ewing has, because like I think that's why I started the podcast, because I was noticing a lot of that in the current X-Men comics that Ewing has been writing, because of just looking at the history of Storm. Like, she's a master law, she's good with knives. So seeing that in early comics, you can tell Ewing definitely took from that and enhanced it to her now. So I agree. I love that. I didn't even think about that right with the lava. I'm like, oh shoot, that's right. Like, you need that kind of ability to terraform a planet. That's crazy. All right, Emilio.
Like everybody said, this probably was my favorite issue. It had literally everything. It has, you know, badass dialogue, maybe a little bit too much of it. It has Storm being a badass. It has characterization for everybody, even just like the ones that didn't really do anything. Like, even for Nightcrawler and Colossus and Wolverine, the people who you would expect to be the people to be like, okay, well, we're going to be the ones to just jump out of it. You gave you good reasons why they didn't. And then also, just like, it astounds me again. These are comics that were made in like the 80s, like the late 70s, early 80s, and just for the characterization, especially just like these female characters, there's only two of them, but like just them being as well developed and as well, it feels effortlessly put on the same level or even above the male characters. Like you have Storm being a badass, us getting the characterization of her backstory, how she's a thief, all of that stuff, her resiliency. Like everybody always, attributes that to like Wolverine and stuff like that, but she did that when Wolverine couldn't. So, it shows a whole nother level of something put in with the fact that she was going through her own things, claustrophobia, all of the mental, you know, overcomings that she had to basically overcome. And then, with Jean Grey, well, Jean Grey's moment that comes a little bit later, but even just with that, it's even today in 2023, like, what is it, 40, 50 years later, you got people that struggle to write characters like female characters, like so effortlessly just on par. Like, we don't question Storm just being the MVP. She just is, especially against like all these strong characters that we know like have stood the test of time, like been here for decades, what I'm saying, beloved. And it's so effortless to just put those characters on top of one another and just, oh, this is why she's that badass. On top of like, this is that characterization. Just like Johan said, it's like this is also like the building blocks to her being like that omega level mutant. We got all of that in one page. So it's just like crazy how masterful that writing is. And then Magneto just be my favorite part of all of this, because it's just like just this omega level villain that's just like, yo, this man's taking down the Avengers, this man's taking down the X-Men, this man's taking down everybody. Put some respect on his name. He could fix the world, but y'all greedy, stingy ass humans don't deserve it. So he's not going to, I'm saying? He's just going to make another, I'm saying, moon base with his mind. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Right.
just like it's so great. It's just like, oh, and Magneto confirmed not musty. You know what I'm saying? Because in the middle of an ass
Took
whooping,
a
like that's just,
shower.
that is one of the best. I'm sorry, this is one of the best villain moments. I'm talking about like villain level moment. He's just like, all right, hold on, time out. I'm gonna put y'all on ice real quick. I know it's just y'all done got fucked up real quick. I'm a little musty. Just get my little quick little joint in real quick. You know what I'm
So
saying?
today
Hang it
drained
up.
me. It drained me.
A whole day he's just like, you know what, I'm done. Y'all done wore me out. I'm gonna take my shower real quick and we put a little Arm and Hammer on real quick. Uh uh
But
make
I also love how, kind of like going back into the fight, where they did like a full on blitz with him, because like you have to
and he took
you
it.
have to, right? And they did the Spider-Man Infinity War move on him with his helmet, like Nightcrawler did. It was just like they were not getting him any time off, and I love that. Storm dehydrating this man with putting the
Right.
moisture.
So I have to give Cyclops all the credit here. I always
Yes.
talk shit about Scott,
Yes.
but he gets ridiculous amounts of credits for this. So he gets Jean to get everyone psionically linked together so that he can give orders without having to say it out loud or for Magneto to hear it. And then he gets Storm to dehydrate Magneto, to make him weaker. And then, like you said, a blitz, just hit, run, hit, run, hit, run, keep him off his guard. And then you got Colossus coming in, breaking ribs, like just going at him, like he's hitting him so much and so hard that he's not even able to use his magnetism powers. So it's like Scott did an incredible job leading the team, like incredible job.
Okay,
I
but it's funny
love
because
all of that. It's just so the tactician, all of that. It's just
yeah,
crazy because it's like you see the like you pointed out the issue before that. This man was just thinking on another level, using magnetism powers that people didn't even think like was in ways that he could do. Like, making force fields around people, making force fields around himself. You know what I'm saying? Using people's powers against themselves. Like not teleporting, but basically being able to transport people at almost like the speed of fucking light, just doing crazy shit. And then, like you said, the MVP, the unsung goat of all the X canon, you know what I'm saying, coming through, was able to not invent, basically, like they invented, if you think about it, that's something that the X-Men and all telepaths use almost like as a go-to in modern comics. It's like, okay, psychic link up, da, 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 da. Let's do that, make sure everybody's coordinated. That was invented by Gene and Scott right there. You know what I'm saying? Master tactician, you know what I'm saying? Got everybody on the same page. And again, it's just the back and forth, a way that they're able to. Magneto elevates the X-Men, and then the X-Men elevate Magneto in such a way where it feels like none of them come out looking like a scrub, because it's like, you know what I'm saying, all that stuff was crazy that Magneto did, but you needed all of this stuff and a coordinated plan of attack to attack him, and he's still taking all these hits. You know what I'm saying? He's not
because
going down.
Nightcrawler even said, because first of all, I love how Colossus just went off script. He was like, I want my 1v1 again. I don't care if this plan. I'll go
He
beat this
said, "Fuck
man.
it, throw him up, throw him
He's
up. I don't give a
Psycho,
fuck."
but Psycho was like, God dang it, Colossus. I totally understand your human form, but I mean, you effing him up though. So okay, go for it.
My man
Hey,
was
it's
getting it.
working.
Just,
Because even
that one
Nightcrawler
meme,
was
he said, "Come to the streets, bro."
no,
He's like, "I don't care, right?" He's like, "I don't give him really lame niggas." So
but
you have to give it to Colossus for that. I
he
gotta give
yeah
it to him.
he was like no. But then I love how in the end. So I love Nightcrawler. How in the end, of course, in every X-Men comic there has to be some kind of database explosion. I love how, because of Phoenix's power, she messed up the console, whatever. And Nightcrawler's like, I then let's just force Magneto to get out of here. But I said, Shahu, aren't you going? He was like, I ain't doing none of it. I'm out. Oh y'all, I ain't doing nothing.
I will
I
say
was
that's
laughing.
that's a superhero trope that I despise. It's just like, yep, we just destroy essentially a glorified keyboard, and then it just fucks up the entire system. It's all fucked. You don't need a special sequence in order to open the door that the only thing that's blocking the lava. Just destroy the keyboard and everything's fucked. I hate that, but it is what it is. It's comics. It's fine.
they gotta wrap it up somehow. But yeah, and so I liked how they all kind of like almost made it out by the grace of their own teeth. And Phoenix helps him out, and then they get separated. Hank and Jean are together, and then we enter into our next issue where we get into the Badlands and issue 20 Desolation. Well, Savage Land, not the Badlands, it's a different place. The Savage Lands. And yeah, what were your thoughts on this chapter? I love the Savage Land. It's a really interesting place, a little dated with the representation of the people. But what were your thoughts on it?
It's quite a cover. Quite a cover. That's the first thing that got my attention with this one. I was just like, oh, okay, we're gonna do that with Storm. That's cool.
Yeah, that I was like,
I was just like, no, they got any excuse that they got to, throw that cheesecake with Storm, they were gonna do it. And it was the
no.
80s. But the Savage Land was just it amazed me too, because like this stuff is just so it's like these dudes are not getting no break. It makes sense why they ain't doing shit now in the comics when it comes to like everybody else and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Man's got a whole treehouse, headquarters. Shit is going down in New York, and they just in their bed. They deserve that, because these events are going like one after another, because I'm like, oh, okay, we're going straight to the Savage Lands. That's a concept that Marvel doesn't even know what to do with now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how many times I probably could count how many times I've read about the Savage Lands like on my hand. And it's just like, okay, so we're gonna go in, and it's just like we were just in a carnival not even yesterday, and now we're about to fight like humanoid motherfucking pterodactyls and shit. You know what I'm saying? It just brings me back, because I remember playing these video games and like the old X-Men beat 'em up games. I'm just like, wow, these were like some really random fucking villains. These were not random. They were going straight canon events. I just did not realize that these motherfuckers were dealing with this shit one after another. That was like the main thing that I took from this issue. Like, other than that, I was like, okay, well, like, go ahead, y'all. Pterodactyl men, go ahead. We've already seen pretty much all of it.
I thought this chapter was a cool chapter. I thought it like, so I'm a little biased. I don't really give a fuck about the Savage Line, to be honest with you. Like, I just don't like, I mean, I think it's cool that they have their own ecosystem and stuff like that, and they're being reunited with people they've already seen before or met. But I just didn't care for the chapter. I thought it was a lot of dialogue, a lot of important dialogue, like nice conversations. But I really didn't care. Of course, I like seeing Storm and her little travel thing, and I was down for that. But I think this chapter, only just for me personally, it only made me want to see more Sauron. I actually like Sauron, and I got introduced to Sauron like pretty late in the game, of course, in the X-Men Green. So like I just really just want to see more of Sauron, and I also want to know what he did to Storm. Like, at the end of the chapter, like, what I'm saying, he said he killed her, but like, did he really kill her? Like, of course he didn't kill her, or did he? I don't know. Like, so I kind of wanted to read ahead, but I was like, I'm just gonna wait and chill. What else did I feel about the chapter? I really that's really all I have for real. Like, I really y'all said a mouthful. Really just didn't care for it personally. Like, Savage Land, just never cared for the Savage Land, like, at all.
So it's my least favorite by default, but I think there were some decent takeaways. Again, I think this was another cool moment for Scott, where he's just like sitting, like getting a shave, and then he sees his reflection, and he's like, "Oh shit, I kind of look like Corsair," and then it triggers this memory for him. So I really like this, and it triggers this memory of like, oh, I'm seeing this memory from this guy throwing his two kids out of a plane, and then the mom has this really sad look on her face, and then as soon as Storm comes up, the memory kind of fades. So I can't wait for him to get back into that. But I thought that was a really cool moment for Scott getting closer to knowing that his dad is still alive and where he is. So I thought that was cool. The conversation between him and Storm, I thought that was really impactful. I'm curious to see how you guys read it, but to me, it's like, yeah, he doesn't feel the need to mourn, because deep down in his heart, like, their love is so strong. He knows that she's not dead. You know, as much as he kind of thinks that, he feels it deep down that she's not gone. So he's not allowing himself to mourn her, right? So I kind of liked that, but I do like the conversation between him and Storm there. And then Storm getting to feel at home again, you know, even though it goes sideways at the end. But it's just like, oh, I kind of just realized how much I miss Africa, being here in a savage land with the great air and the crystal clear water and just going for a swim. And at the beginning, this was also another great team moment where Banshee sees how Storm is, and he's like, you know what, let's go for a fly. Like, let's go fly around for a little bit, because he knows it'll make her feel better, right? Because they were just in that tunnel, and we know she's claustrophobic. So there was some good takeaways from this. Also, Colossal is about to have a threesome. I don't know if you guys saw that.
It was a slice of life chapter, you know.
Yeah, there was some good takeaways from this, but yeah, everything else was just so fire. This is by default the least.
I forgot about that, JB. I don't know how I forgot about the Corsair thing, man. I totally forgot, and I keep forgetting that, you know, with Scott at this point in time, Scott doesn't know
right
situation. Scott, and he's under the impression that his dad and mom is dead, and he doesn't. You know, his mom is dead, of course, but like, you know, so I totally forgot about
and
that.
it's funny because as you were talking, JB, I was looking, I'm like, he looks like they drew him looking like his daddy, like in that on purpose. So as soon as you said, I was like, there it go right there, like, because he was like, he looking like his daddy right now. Hold on, Scott.
And
I love
Corsair. And it also made me think about this, like, you said that, JB. I remember that dialogue and that internal dialogue he was having with himself, saying like, I never had friends, let alone a girlfriend. And so it made me start thinking, like, does Scott not consider the X-Men his friends? Like, does Scott not like?
It's a job to him. I think he just sees it as a job. Because he's never had a family. His own brother dipped out to go get hitched. He's just like, F that dude. Like, it's just, you know. So it's like, he sees it as a job. I don't think he really as obligation. I don't think he really sees it as a family yet. Only
a lot of good characterization, because like there is like a whole big subplot that does go in there that sort of like, because right now he is sort of like that model of like, I'm gonna be pretty much like Xavier Jr. And we know now through retrospect that Xavier is a shitty person, and we can kind of see it in these issues now. It's just like how he sort of militarized his school, and you know, like, especially since he brought the older people in, he was just like, all right, this ain't no school no more. Y'all a team, y'all gang, y'all gonna go out there and y'all gonna stomp who I tell you to stomp. And Scott really internalized that, being the person who grew up there from a child, who was adopted into this and was basically grew up as a child. And this sort of being like this conversation and him being with Storm, again, the another seed planted of like why like the dual leaders, like why they're pretty much like the de facto leaders of the X-Men. If it's not Cyclops, it's going to be Storm. If Storm's not there, it's Cyclops, you know. So there's that, and then planting the seeds of like, yeah, maybe I'm not like Xavier, you know, maybe I don't look at these people like this. It's like, I actually do look at, it's like, I don't really have friends, but at the end of the day, like, you know, he goes and has this, you know, like big brother little brother relationship with Nightcrawler, you know what I'm saying? Like, Bobby Drake comes back when he decides to stop being a bigot, you know, and when all that comes back, and then he realizes like, yeah, it's like these people are family, like, you know what I'm saying? Beast comes back, you know, and he's now doing his thing regularly. He's not an Avenger anymore. And, you know, all that comes in is like, yeah, it's like, this is my family, and I treat these people like a family. And then eventually leading to all the rifts that you see with Cyclops and Professor X, all the differences that you see with them ideology wise now. You know, it's all basically stems from like this conversation he had when he was like, what, like 19 here, 19, 20.
And you see, and you kind of see that parallel with Magneto, where it's like Xavier has like messed up these people because like he says his thing, but his methods and ways are no better than Magneto's in a sense. There's always something that's like, you know, messed up. And then you see that with Scott, and like the fact that like Magneto was like, I disrupted the Polaris effect of Earth so that you were unable to use your psychic ability to reach the X-Men. That is hatred. like, but that, like, you know what I'm saying? But that's also knowing that person. I think Xavier gets out a lot with a lot of people that interact with him, where it's like, dude, like, you're not always gonna be right. Like, you're not. So I did like seeing that parallel between Magneto and Scott, where they were like really like struggling with their issues they had with Xavier.
Yeah.
Say, JB.
Oh, real quick, another thing that I really liked about this chapter was this moment with Wolverine, where Colossus is inviting him to go hang out at the private island with the girls and everything, but he doesn't want to go because he's still mourning Jean. I love this piece of dialogue. Like, you're the first person I ever really cared for, and I never even told you my real name. Right, like he's not even concerned with like having a good time, because in his mind he just lost the love of his life. So it's like I really like that moment too.
I love that moment too, because again, how it's like juxtaposed with Scott being like, I'm mourning, but in a whole different way. So it shows you like how those two different ideologies, and how these two dudes that love this one woman, but how they like both approach that same relationship. So I was like, that's a good juxtaposition right there. And then the second half of this issue, that's where all the real good shit happens. Whereas, like, because if you don't know anything about like Storm and vampires and Dracula being on that ass, like you don't know none of the significance of all that, and it really does just come out of nowhere. But just out of and just you see Storm basically having this whole glamour. It's like I had to read it a couple times really, like, is she in a dream sequence? Did she kill the people and then get out of the dream? But it's like, no, it's like actually like being glamored, like, because vampires have that ability in the Marvel universe to where they can like slightly hypnotize you, or sort of like put you in like sort of more or less a genjutsu, for lack of a better terms. So, and the fact that they all just came out and she was able to overpower it because of all the things that we've seen in this other issue. And then this is really just like the beginning sees, it's like, okay, we'll plant this little seed real quick. You might see Dracula, he might try to marry her. What I'm saying, we might be doing this a little bit later. I just thought that was just like, I just love that whole story where, like, Storm kind of basically like courts Dracula just for, or well, no, the other way around. Dracula courts Storm, and she just basically is like, oh yeah, cool, vampires, oh that's nice, yeah.
Everybody want a piece of Storm.
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody trying to get a piece of the Omega Mutant Gene. I don't.
Every time she's just like, wine me, dine me, give me that money real quick.
The objectification of the black woman. That it's crazy. It all comes back. Louis Farrakhan said it a long time. You gotta see the Kane, what they are doing to Arquine.
Yeah,
that's why they pick it up. They realize at the end, that's why she always gets her lick back. She just like, they're like, what we do? They're like, hold on, what are we doing with Storm? No. She stabs him in the heart. Okay, move it along. That's how all these relationships end.
Just
Dracula. Crazy. Steak, bam.
I was like, by the time she gets to T'Challa, I'd be like, damn. Like, what's going
on? That's what I'm saying. T'Challa is lucky he didn't get
he almost besides the sword, she popped up and was like, "You really lied to me, really?" And he was already hurt, and she was effing him up. I'm sorry, she almost killed him. T'Challa almost died.
He was this close to getting the sword through. I'm talking about Dracula stake through the heart. Was Apocalypse little baby boy that tried to court her through the heart. Bam, said T'Challa this close. This close to getting that shit right in the middle of his little vibranium plates right there.
Look, she almost killed him. He was like, Storm, I'm hurt already. She's like, oh, still. He shouldn't have lied to
me. You want to hurt some more?
Right, like
she was stomping him down. Megan Thee Stallion was playing him back. She said,
right.
First of all, I'm she.
First of all, I'm sorry. Oh, that was so funny. But yeah, all right. So since we're talking about MVP of these issues, y'all, let's all say in unison. Storm.
It's all gotta be Storm. Always.
Storm. She just has too many highlighting moments from her like getting the pigs out of her crown, and her like it was just like so fluid and it was just so detailed and you felt the intensity of her focus. And I was just like, and the red lipstick, I was like, yes, as a queen heart at work. So I loved it.
And then they also mentioned like how she was able to keep her composure while stuck in the tunnel while they were digging. Like when you have like a phobia, it's not hard to keep it under control. So her again, another thing with the mental fortitude. Such a good job.
And then the whole just one shot of her literally taking down what is it, like 9, 8 vampires, trying to look. Blade, even Blade would be proud of this man. He need to recruit Storm because she's out here slaying vampires as good as any one of them fuck niggas on his team that keep on dying.
Facts.
I'm crying. But yeah, any honorable mentions, y'all? Any honorable mentions? I would give it to Colossus. I think Colossus kind of, earned his little licks back, but MVP went to Storm. And I think
Good.
I think these chapters, although like you said, blur or quick pace, I think they're definitely had a lot of reflective moments. But it was the spotlight was on Storm on so many ways, which I did love.
It's always on Storm. But I got to give honorable mention to the villain Magneto because my man was everywhere. Yo,
not the villain.
Like a whole. I'm sorry, I had to. Like he villained so well that
he villained the main villain, the previous villain. He got that villain out of the way.
He villained the villain. You know what I'm saying? It was wild. You know what I'm saying? And then he had a whole one shot, which I didn't even bring up. That whole one shot showing like this man like in a whole war, them using him, motherfucking like them killing his whole like his boo thing, which his name I cannot remember right now. He was getting that nice little massage real quick, and they just straight up Isabel, yes, they straight capped her, and I was like, yo, like, and I'm just like, what? Of course he's out here, you know what I'm saying, creating lava pits and asteroid layers and stuff like that. Like look at what this man has been through. And then just like what we pointed out before, just the next level thinking of how it just kept being able to counter like 6 people all at once, force field this, trap you in this, like motherfucking smack you with that, take your own body weight and smash your other man's with you. It's just like next level thinking. So he gave them the greatest ass whooping, and for that he had to get the honorable mention.
Yeah, it sucks for Isabel because you could tell she was a good woman too. Like she understands him, just like you're stressed out. Let me give you a massage. Like actually, like understanding like what he's doing could be causing these seizures, and then boom, she's gone. But I think her death for Magneto was bittersweet, right? Because it's like, yeah, he lost someone that he cared about, but at the same time, a shackle was removed from him to allow him to do the things necessary that he needs to do without any attachments, right? She can no longer be used against him in any way, shape, or form, right? So it's bittersweet. I really like that side story. That was probably my favorite side story that I've read since we started. Like it was so good.
It's always the good girls. Hell.
Oh my god. Y'all are
it's
funny.
Always the good ones.
But so favorite, I know we all kind of said favorite issue before we wrap things up tonight. Favorite issue.
18, hands down.
Yeah.
100%. Sure. 18, 19, definitely.
My favorite. I like 18. I like 18, but 19 is my favorite.
19?
Yeah, I love 19.
Yeah.
18 definitely favorite just for that legendary ass whooping that Magneto had to throw on the X-Men.
Like that's how you villain. Like
bro, he was like, this villain is not it. Let me show you how a real boss do. And I was like, oh yeah. And then so before we end, I want to say like, imagine being stuck in that wagon as he's leveling down and you just having to sit there. Like just having to sit there and wait.
I think about that every time. Like every time. Because he always does that with something. He always got you was in something and then lowers you. Just like,
and you just gotta sit there like elevator, just look at the villain. He's like,
I was eating my damn corn pop. How this man got me. He's like, damn you made a whole seat in this. How the hell you make Mercury comfortable? I hate you.
So funny. But that concludes tonight's episode. Y'all mind letting people know what y'all got going on, where they can find you, JB.
Yeah, you guys can find absolutely everything that I do on carefulforspoilers.com. You'll find links to all of the podcasts on the network. You'll find all of our articles, movie reviews, top 10s, top 20s. You can find it all on there. I actually just wrote a retrospective talking about 1999, possibly the greatest year for film ever. Had a lot of fun putting that together. Follow my other channel, Fitman Flicks, where we do car show videos, car highlight videos. So check out that channel. But yeah, find me everywhere at carefulforspoilers.com.
Yeah, Johan.
Oh, you know how it is. I'm Mr. Anime Improv. Please tune in to Anime Improv every other Monday. We got a new show coming up on this Monday where we take our anime characters, video game characters, pop culture characters, and put them in scenarios where you can enjoy and have fun. And please check out my page for the Cage Awards with the world's only exclusive award show for Black creators, streamers, gamers, comic creators coming to you August 6th. Check out our pre-shows coming in March and check out my page, Bearded Blerd and the Cage Awards.
Period. And really you.
And you can check me out, Blerd Central, on everything that's YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. On the hiatus right now for the YouTube. I'm moving, so it's making it really hard to do the editing. But good news is that I got like a whole bunch of shit now, so it's gonna come out rapid fire. Once I start getting that shit out, it's gonna drop almost all at the same time. But do catch me on Twitter because I am going to be training. I almost made the Capcom Cup 2022 last year offline. And now that they done announced that Capcom Cup 2023 got that $1 million prize pool for first place. And so your boy's going to be training. Catch me on Twitch, twitch.com/Blerd Central. I'll be playing some Street Fighter. Come play with me. All that.
I love that. I love that's what you're training for. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kicking myself for not hosting my own Marvel's Capcom tournament because I had an idea for that and I was like, And I saw Evo had it. I was like, God damn it. All right.
Listen, the more the merrier. We need it. More.
Look, I've been training with Chun-Li. I've been getting them box hits in. I was like hundreds, and I was like, do damage. But yes, yeah, that concludes tonight's podcast. As you know, your girl Spicy Lady. You can find me everything Spicy Lady ENT on Twitter, Spicy Lady Entertainment on Instagram, Spicy Lady Gaming on Twitch. I stream every day except for Mondays and Sundays. So as you hear this, I will be working on a charity stream for Women's Month in March. We will be donating to Black Girls Co., supporting young girls who want to be in the gaming industry with technology. Support that. But yeah, tonight's episode was lit, and you already know. Stay mutant and proud, my brothers and sisters. Peace.